Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Elliott. Today we have a special guest, one of my brothers, coming from Austin, Texas. This guy is awesome. He's been in the game for a little over 6.5 years now, coming from North Virginia originally, and just his story of, where he came from to where he's at now in Austin, Texas. Just literally the entrepreneurism in this guy is tremendous at starting so many businesses. I was shocked once he started dropping all these bombs of like, dude, you're in this. So I'm going to let him, drop all the knowledge on the different platforms that he's investing in. But this guy is an amazing rock star wholesaler for real estate investing. And yeah, doing about $250 to $350 every month, which is crazy. And that's thousands, like $250 to $350,000 per month. Has an awesome team in place, 9 employees. And yeah, just literally went from the corporate lifestyle of working and shot up the ladder very quickly, like most rock star real estate investors, entrepreneurs in general. But this guy, from where he came from, similar backgrounds a little bit when it comes down to grow up a screw up in certain, just wrong choices, to where he's at today is very amazing. And super excited to have Nick on here. Nick, what's going on, brother?
They're just trying to turn that 250, 350 to 250, 350 mil.
That's I love it. Goal. Let's go.
We're in kindergarten right now. So yeah.
I love it, man. So the podcast in general, it's all geared towards like educating people, motivating them, and preparing them to take action. And the motivation that you always bring to the table is tremendous. So for anybody out there that doesn't know exactly who you are, do you mind just diving in a little bit of who you are and, what you come from to what you're doing today?
Yeah. So, like you said, I think great intro there. Grew up in Northern Virginia, grew up a screw up, getting myself in a lot of trouble growing up as a adolescent, young adult, but always had that entrepreneurial spirit, even in like high school. Like, as soon as I get my worker's permit, my butt was at work every day after work. And my high school career ended junior year when I got promoted to the manager of a cell phone store. They didn't know that I wasn't 18 yet, but they promoted me to the manager. And at $18 an hour, I said, you know what, that's the end of my high school career. I'm not going back to school anymore. So left high school as a junior to go be the manager of a cell phone store, and was able to complete my high school education online. They still let me walk the stage. So was doing that, basically growing up, had a lot of different jobs. My first career, I was a personal trainer. So, after finished kind of the cell phone thing, I went to personal training school, got, certified there, did a ton of personal training. Yeah, spent 5 years as a full-time personal trainer, and then kind of capped out. Working 60, 80 hours a week, basically you're going to be making $60,000, $70,000 max, which is where I was. Sure. So one of my clients, he owned a chain of frozen yogurt stores, where you go get the cup and put it on the scale. And he said, hey, man, I need somebody to go open these stores for me and also help me sell more franchises. So I said, you know what, let's do it. So I went over, jumped ship with him, traveled around the country for a couple years, opening up frozen yogurt franchises. Like if you were going to open one up, I'd say, hey, Brandon, make sure you order your yogurt machines this week so they come in on time. And then when you're going to open your store, I'd go help you get your employees trained, get your store open, and then I was on to the next one. So had a lot of fun doing that. Got to see a lot of parts of the country. But, as you all know, like that frozen yogurt trend, cooled off. No pun intended, right? Yeah. So 2014 was when that venture really started trailing off. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to stay in Northern Virginia, get another job here, or am I going to go out and actually do something with my life? I was sick of living in Northern Virginia. I grew up there. I got arrested there too many times. Yeah. And, I was just over it. The whole traffic, cold, everything. So I said, screw it. I put everything in the back of my hoopty Mazda 3 and drove down to Austin, Texas with no plan. no reason. I had just spent a week in Austin through traveling the country and fell in love with it. So when I got to Austin, had no idea what I wanted to do and jumped in and started learning about, real estate and wholesaling on YouTube, and, kind of the rest is history.
It's so funny. You and I are too similar because the more like I talk with you, I'm like, how I planned San Diego. I went to visit a friend for one weekend, and then 2 months later I was out here. And
exactly.
It wasn't even like my best friend out here. We didn't even really hang out after I moved out here, but it's just funny, once just a new season in life, right?
Yeah.
So you were doing the frozen yogurt and setting up, new ones, but were you doing another corporate job as well? Or was that it?
When I moved to Austin, I had no plan. I was sleeping on an air mattress in a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture and bags of clothes and a laptop. You know what I mean? So I had to figure out my life, and I was running out of money. I had $7,000 when I came down here. That was my life savings.
Sure.
And you know how fast $7,000 goes in the real world, right? So the wick was burning fast, and I had to figure out something. I knew I didn't want to go work for anybody again. I wanted to start my own business. After researching a ton of different businesses, I knew wholesaling was what I wanted to do, but I needed income to be able to do it and not get evicted from my apartment and do it out of the back of my car.
Yeah.
So
the old ways that we knew, once to make a living, let's try to take that knowledge and put it to something good, right?
Right. So I was fortunate, I was down here, dating around, and this one girl that I was dating got me the inside track to get an interview at Indeed, which is headquartered here in Austin.
Okay.
And got a job there doing sales. They took a flyer on me. You need to have a college degree there. I don't have a college degree, nothing. But they took a flyer on me. So I started that position and hit the ground running. Did really, really well there right out of the gate. President's Club, Top Gun, all those awards. So, in a very short amount of time, went to making $0 to $225,000 a year. And again, my whole goal, though, my whole motivation, I think a lot of the reason that I did real well was because it was the pure drive of not wanting to work a corporate job. So I knew the faster I can absolutely dominate in here, the faster I can get out.
No, I love that. So with the job, that can be life-changing for most people in general, going from pretty much broke to and not knowing what you're going to do next. Your savings is starting to diminish very quickly, to getting some new corporate job and scaling up the ladder very quick, 200,000+ per year. I'm sure that felt pretty good, but you still didn't want to work for somebody else. You wanted something bigger and better, right?
Yeah. I mean, 225 really isn't anything in the grand scheme of things. I always knew I need to get rich. That was my whole thing. And 225 is not rich.
Yeah. 225 a year is nothing in comparison to where your mindset's at, right? You always had something bigger, which is great.
Correct. So I was never going to settle, for some golden handcuffs and working for the man. No, that wasn't.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. That wasn't in the cards.
Okay, so tell me why real estate? Anybody in your family or somebody around you that kind of sparked the interest of real estate, or as you started making some money with this corporate job, how long did you keep that job, by the way?
Well, longer than I should have, and I'll tell you why in a second. But yeah, it was 2.5 years. I should have quit at right around the 18-month mark.
Okay.
But I ended up getting common law, which I didn't even know that was a thing until I moved to Texas. So I lost all my, basically in Texas, if you date a girl and live with her, they get mail at your residence, they can claim that you're married. So I went to go break up with this girl. We were living in badass high rise downtown Austin, and went to go break up with her. Long story short, she didn't want to leave. So I just said, well, just get your things and move out by next Friday, whatever. I went to go stay with a buddy. And I thought, hey, we're going to be good. She's going to be out by next Friday. I'll get my apartment back. And life goes back to normal. I'm walking down the street a couple of days later, and some guy comes up to me and hits me with papers on the chest. And he said, "You've been served." I opened up the papers, and I got divorce papers in my hand from a girl that I've been dating for a year.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, this is BS, whatever. I ended up having to go to court. I had to hire a family law attorney, the whole nine. And long story short, I ended up losing my high rise, lost 2 vehicles, lost all my furniture, lost all my physical possessions, and more than half the money in my bank account when it came down to paying the attorneys and
Oh my
paying
God.
her. So
Common law? That's what it's called?
it's called common law, and it's
Stay away from that, listeners. Stay away.
Yeah, I'm a Virginia guy, so I never heard of it before I came down here. So yeah, I got hit with that, and I had to start again from basically nothing. I still have my job and I had my real estate going at the time.
Yeah.
So I got another place. I bought new stuff.
Yeah.
I kept rocking at my job, kept doing my wholesale, and I built back up. But it set me back like 8 months.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like anybody, right? So why real estate for you?
Real estate was just a vehicle. It's a high ticket that you can make decent spreads on, right? Yeah. So when I was doing yogurt, I was like, my CEO, he said something really interesting to me. He's like, dude, you got to sell a lot of $5 cups to make $1 million in this business, right? Well, real estate is different. Yeah. Real estate is different. You're dealing with a high ticket item. So you only have to do a certain amount of transactions. So, that's what was attractive to me, was just the ticket price. That's why, now I'm looking, in the future, how can we go further? We got to go commercial. We got to go, larger asset classes. So
that's right.
It's just a high ticket item that I can make a spread on.
So let's give the listeners a little taste of all the different avenues that you're in, because I just got dropped a bunch of knowledge before we actually went live here with all the different platforms. It's not just wholesaling. You're not just doing 250 to 350,000 per month with just wholesaling. You got several different avenues that you're crushing it in. So for the listeners, what else are you doing?
Yeah, so I own a over-the-road trucking company. So I have semi-trucks that travel all over the country. I've got trucks that are out right now. I don't even know where they're going, but the trucks are a good investment.
That's not your worry, right? You hire that stuff out, make sure everything's...
You hire it out. Yeah, I have a, full-time dispatcher that dispatches the trucks, deals with the brokers and the loads, and they communicate that to the driver, and the driver goes and picks them up and takes them around for a couple of weeks, and then we'll bring the truck back home to get serviced and rest the driver, and then after a couple of days they're back out for a couple more weeks doing the same thing. So the trucks are great. It's $60,000 investment, pretty much all in after everything. Nets between $4,000 to $7,000 a month. Just depends on how the rates are going. So the semi trucks are great. I'm gonna continue to build out the fleet there. Also have Amazon automation going. Got large Forex accounts and things like that.
I love it, man. I mean, you're all over the place, but successfully doing it. So most people, I always recommend, focus on one thing till successful. And that's obviously what you've done. You probably weren't going a little bit in every box at first, but
no, I'm laser focused. I'm locked. Yeah. I'm still all in on my real estate.
I love it.
You know what I mean? I'm all in on everything though.
Yeah, I see that.
But I didn't diversify from doing real estate until just recently, within the last 6 months. But it was just I had too much cash building up. I just needed something to do with it.
Yeah. And you're a big advocate on credit as well. I know you're in the credit course right now, but you've also done a ridiculous, extensive amount of credit research on your own and investing in yourself to learn the ins and outs. You've utilized other platforms in the past to be able to build up a ton of capital for credit to be able to utilize in your businesses, correct?
Yeah, I mean, credit is that one thing they're not going to talk to you in any of the guru seminars or anything, but you want to talk, how do Fortune 500 companies build up? They leverage credit, right?
That's right, 100%.
So when I started seeing explosive growth was, after I understood my KPIs, I'd been doing the business forever, but I needed to put it on steroids. So the credit allows you to lever down so you can blow your business up. So that's exactly what I've done, and I continue to do.
I love it. So let's talk about the wholesaling in general, right? Let's focus on just that. So you've been doing it for 6.5 years now at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. You got 9 employees. What does the day-to-day look like? And how hands-on do you have to be? What is your role within the in the company?
I'm basically the cheerleader at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Make
I
sure
think
everybody's
most of
doing
my
their-
guys are in a meeting right now,
Okay.
but I'll just show you my office setup. So I'll take y'all out here. I'm a show me kind of person, so I'll just show you rather than tell you, right? So this is my acquisitions floor. Like I said, a lot of these guys are in acquisition training right now. Some of them are
Okay.
out here. This is my junior acquisitions department. These are my senior acquisitions
Okay.
over here, right? And this is my office setup. So we've got, try to keep it fun. We got the ping pong table and
Yeah.
flat screen TVs, all that stuff. And then over here, this is my dispositions department. These guys are selling deals all day, every day,
Love it.
talking to investors all over the country. We're nationwide, so you can see I got the nationwide. We can put pins in everywhere we've done deals. So,
Love it.
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just, basically two inside sales departments that are, one B2C and one's B2B.
Okay, let's talk about lead generation right now. What different avenues are you guys utilizing the most? Are you doing like pay-per-click? Are you doing obviously cold calling as well, or
No, right now we're all digital.
all digital? Okay.
Yeah, so Facebook, Bing,
Yeah.
Google. Yep.
And what does the average cost per lead typically look like?
For us, it's like $60.
Okay. Yeah,
Mm.
which is nothing in comparison to what you can make from it, right?
Yeah, I mean, our average cost per deal is like between $2,600 to $3,100.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
So once the leads start coming in from doing, digital, just ads and so forth, getting people to click on it, then you bring them into a funnel. You get a bunch of leads coming in. You get some of your guys to start reaching out and asking the qualifying questions. Then do you have people running out to the actual location themselves, or all
No.
closers over the phone?
No, it's all closed over the phone. So get it locked up over the phone. We'll get photos later. Or if the seller sends them before, great, but we're not going to put friction in the sale.
Yeah.
So we get the signed DocuSign, get photos from either the seller, or we'll send send somebody else out there if we have to. But typically the sellers are pretty good about getting photos to you. We just tell them it's a requirement, and they do it.
Yeah.
And then pass them over to our dispositions department, and dispo blast it out in a bunch of different ways and get people out there. And once they get out there, the offers will start coming in, and we negotiate and send it to escrow and close the transaction.
I love it. I think it's so funny. There's a lot of people that might just be starting to, get started with wholesaling, or they claim to be doing it for a while, but then once the pandemic hit and so forth, possibly a lot of people have got affected, in wholesaling as well. But overall, a lot of people rely on their business to actually go out to meet with the homeowner and do the closing there instead of closing over the phone. And I always think it's like, it really separates the difference between a real business or not. If where your expertise is, if you can actually close over the phone and get a deal locked in, right?
Yeah. I mean, we stopped doing that a while ago, years ago. And a lot of it was necessity for me, because even years ago when I was just doing Austin it's kind of like San Diego. Like, the cost per deal is outrageous.
Sure.
Not really a great wholesale market. You're going to spend, $10,000 to get a deal here.
Yep.
And your assignment fees might be 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to, get outside of Austin because the numbers didn't work. So, because of that, I was going to Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, and I started doing most of my stuff over the phone because I had to. I would drive out there, and it was kind of a hybrid thing. And then after a while, I just started doing it all over the phone. And I was like, well, why am I geographically limiting myself? And then we started doing other states. And now we've closed, I think, 41 of the 48 lower states.
No kidding. Wow. So are you just super broad when you're hitting your locations, or do you have certain markets that you guys love? And
I got certain markets that I love, but we blanket the U.S.
Okay.
But do I have certain places that we like better than others? Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I mean, the only way to really systemize and to be able to scale is closing over the phone, because the time and energy and the waste that it could potentially bring by not connecting in person or whatever it could be. You got to close over the phone, I personally think.
I agree. Yeah, none of my guys have ever been to a house.
I love it. I love it. Cool. So most of your employees, are they, they've been with you for the long run, or a lot of these guys are coming in and out? How does that hire on process look like?
Yeah, I mean, my COO, he's been with me for 4.5 years. He was my intern in the corporate world, and then he got hired on in Indeed. He's a stud. And so he got hired through the internship, like 2 out of the 40 people that, interned there. He got it, ended up doing well at Indeed, but similar mindset, didn't want to get stuck in there. So he came on. He's been with me, for 4+ years. And then a lot of my acquisitions are, 1+ year. Same with my dispositions. But, some of these guys are, here within the last 3 months or so. It's just, sales is sales, right? So, not everybody's, cut out for it. But, we're not like a high turnover kind of place. We want to make sure that we keep our people happy, make sure that they're paid. If they're not doing well, then we usually cut them pretty quick.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I love that. So when it comes down to financing these deals, you guys aren't actually hanging on to any of these yourself. You're simply just locking it in contract and then assigning it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy answer, but we do take down a lot of deals, right?
Okay.
I've got a deal I'm closing tomorrow in Rogers, Arkansas. That's, I'll close on it tomorrow, and then I've already got the buyer lined up to close on the 14th, right? Okay. So we'll wholesale, but we're not rehabbing a lot of property now.
That was my next question. Yeah, are you guys wholesaling these, and are you doing any type of light remodels or anything?
Sometimes, light remodels. I mean, I used to do a lot of fix and flips, but we're just not doing that anymore.
Yeah, talk about a full-time job, right?
Exactly. The amount of bandwidth and capital outlay and risk you take on it is just too much. It doesn't make a lot of sense, financially. So
that's one of those things that it breaks my heart when somebody first wants to get started into real estate investing. I almost I didn't start off with wholesaling, but I think it's a great avenue because some people naturally think okay, well, I want to do a fix and flip. But they're working a full-time job. They have several kids newborns at the house, and they're commuting a couple hours. I'm like, dude, how are you ever going to be able to do a fix and flip? Because problems come up and you got to be quick. There's so many different things that you got to put out fires on a regular basis. But I love what you guys are doing with wholesaling right now. And the wholesaling, obviously, you can make a heck of a lot more.
Well, right now, as this is being recorded, the days on market are ridiculous. They're dropping through the roof because nobody's listening. I think listings nationwide are down 16 to 21%. Don't quote me, but listings are way down.
I've seen it. Yeah.
So days on market are way down too. So things are flying off the shelves. Yeah.
I love it. So that obviously has helped out business a ton more, I assume, right? Has actually locking in these contracts been a little bit more difficult?
Well, when we had the shutdowns going on, which I think was March and April, we saw a big slowdown. So we'll get between 12 and 15 contracts a week.
Okay.
And then during the shutdowns, we were getting 7 a week. Now we're back up to last week we did 13, Okay. So we're back in that pre-shutdown range, and we're growing from there.
I love it.
But yes, when the title companies were shut down, when everybody was in complete panic mode, it did definitely alter things. But right now, as of July 1st, things are moving in the right direction.
Did you guys close up as an office yourself?
For 2 weeks, and I said, screw that. If you don't have coronavirus, then get your butt back in the office.
Yeah, right?
No, we did. I mean, we try to be safe and all that, but at the same time, you lose a lot of efficiency not being in office. I know a lot of people are proponents of not being in an office. I'm a big proponent of having an office. The speed of communication and just the camaraderie and being able to do the trainings face to face, there's a lot to be said about that.
And the separation from work and actually going into the office to, I guess in comparison to home, right?
Yeah. Well, I saw it because when we did send everybody home, there was kind of a test where I wanted to see hey, is this a viable solution, maybe long term, where we don't have to have an office? And after the 2 or 3 weeks that we were out, I determined that was a no-go.
Yeah. The motivation a little lacking here. We got dogs barking in the background.
Production.
Yeah. Not cool.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you guys see yourself in the future? Like, how are you trying to scale the real estate business portion? Out of all the entrepreneur stuff that you're doing, all the different businesses with real estate, what are you trying to do?
So right now with the wholesaling, we're going to continue to do that because the nice thing is we're so broad. So being in the entire United States, we've got a ton of market share. So right now we're aggressively hiring for more junior acquisitions and then slowly bringing on more senior acquisitions. So, I want to break the mold of what anybody's ever done before and scale this to a large inside sales organization. So, I know there are organizations out there like Property Forest down in Miami. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they've got a team of 50 down there doing wholesaling.
Yep.
Yeah, they crush. It's like I think they do like 50 mil a year, right? So there's big companies out there that nobody ever hears about.
Yeah,
and we're not on that level yet. And then in addition to that is going to be basically taking the exact same principles that we do here and taking that into the commercial realm. So I'm aggressively building out, private money, credit, storehousing a ton of capital right now. So when the time comes for us to start buying commercial, we can jump in and get these deals and come out the other side of all this, craziness in a great position where, we can all have really nice lives and set our families up for, generations.
I love it. So who'd you get the inspiration from? Like to build all these systems in place, were you just geeking out on the computer and learning all this stuff? Or did you get education or mentorship from somebody successfully doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hard road, man. Like, just getting punched in the mouth every single day. I still get punched in the mouth every single day.
Yeah.
Right. And it's business. You're going to have to, fail and learn from your failures and get better. I think Ray Dalio says it's like, here's how success doesn't go like this, right? It goes, it's a loop. So you fail, you get your teeth kicked in, then you examine why you fail. And then you try again and you get a little bit further, but you're probably going to fail again. Right.
Yeah.
And you're just going to keep doing these loops till you go up. So I've just continued to learn from, my failure and my pain throughout the way, but I've had some extremely good mentors that have been there to kind of coach me through a lot of it. My main first mentor, coming in, Sean Terry, he's the guy that got me, up and running. He was the one that got me out of my corporate job. So love Sean Terry. Big shout out to Sean Terry. There's a lot of other people that, came before me that I've learned from in the real estate space. Brad Chandler with Express Home Buyers. He's like an uncle for me. I'll call him whenever, things are getting rough or I need some serious advice. So yes, there's a lot of people that have poured into me and, given me guidance to help me to where I'm at now.
I love that. So what do you think would be one of your biggest learning curves?
Biggest learning curve in business? Well, the credit was a big one.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. It was, and if I would have known this, I would have done it way sooner. So my business was kind of just going like this for the first 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
And I wasn't really seeing any big jumps in revenue.
Yeah.
And I remember I got back from Rafael Vargas seminar a while years ago. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I had all these Funding Grow credit cards and I was like, I'm going hard in the paint. I was like, I'm going to load these credit cards up. I'm going to spend $100K on marketing. I'm going to liquidate some of these cards. I'm going to just front load a bunch of payroll and we're going to see what happens. I'm pretty damn confident. I'm betting on myself. We're going to turn it around. So I did that. And I think I loaded up like $125,000, $130,000 in expenses, getting the office started, doing marketing, payroll, everything, and ended up coming out and paying those cards off 6 to 8 weeks later. So and then that was a huge jump in revenue for me. So I was like, well, shit, if I could just keep doing this, then I could. What's the limit? What if I did $1 million? I should have gone bigger. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have just done 125. I should have done a million. So now, I got a whole book of these credit cards now. So,
Yeah.
I'm just adding on to them. So I'm trying to, I'm learning from you a lot in terms of building up my credit lines and making sure my profile stays good. And you've been a big inspiration for me in that realm.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. That's awesome, man. So basically your biggest learning curve was just not jumping into credit sooner and start learning this information, because what it's done so far has been tremendous. Like the amount of credit you get that you can just, if you got full confidence in yourself and the systems work, you really just need the funds to be able to get the marketing down, right? It's like whoever can pay for more marketing is going to win.
Right. I bootstrapped it for so long and ran it all, out of cash into my checking account.
Which most,
it's brutal route to go down when you're spending all your money and hoping it's going to come back. Yeah. Right. And I did that for 4 years, and I think that was good for me.
Of course.
I should have gone through that, and I don't have any regrets about it. That was the right thing to do. And I think anybody's coming into this business, don't be stupid and just go load up a bunch of Amex cards and hope for the best. It doesn't work like that. You need to get a couple years under your belt where you've done at least 15, 20 deals, and you understand the KPIs. You understand all the numbers behind the business, and you've lived through them. Yes. You didn't just go to a seminar and get the numbers. You've lived through the numbers. Yeah. You've had some of those pay cycles go through, and then you can really lever down on your business.
I love that. That's such a good tip, because we do got those random listeners out there that they have maybe a little chunk of availability on their credit. And, by all means, if you know the systems, if you've been there, you've done it, and you really you've been bootstrapping it for a while, then maybe I would put that bet behind it. But you don't want to get caught up on that loop, right? On the loop of making one of those costly mistakes.
Yeah, well, if you screw up, you're in big trouble. So.
Yeah, of course.
So make sure
there's always ways around that as well. If
you credit sweep it.
If you guys need any credit guidance, as always, you can always reach out. When there's a will, there's a way. When it comes down to credit, I always say. So let's talk about some screw ups with deals by any means. Like, you guys ever locking in deals that you offer too much on, or it's just all the time? Yeah.
I mean, we're nationwide, so not as much anymore, but especially when we first went nationwide, we were like, man, we've got this property. It's rents for $1,100 a month, and we're getting it for $40,000. That's a great deal, right?
You think? Well, and if you don't know the market enough, though, it happens.
Yeah, in Joplin, Missouri, when you call those investors and tell them, they laugh in your face because everything's $40,000 getting 1,100 there.
Yeah,
right?
they know the area. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a long learning curve of understanding how to do nationwide. That was a big learning curve for me, because when we first started nationwide, we were dropping 75% of our deals.
Yeah.
Now we really only drop deals if there's a buyer, seller, or title company issue, right? But before, we were screwing up and locking up a lot of our deals because we didn't understand the markets. Now we've got a pretty good grasp on the United States and how real estate works in certain regions and things like that.
That's good. I think that's a great testimony behind this. Is basically, for example, I have a quick story. I picked up one deal for $5,000 in the past, and it's one of my best deals at this point. I got paid out after I did the cash out refi doing the burst strategy. But how I picked up this deal and got it so damn cheap, it was worth like $40,000 in the worst condition it was, at that time. A wholesaler that was brand new in the area, they actually live in Arizona. I'm in San Diego. They live in Arizona. My portfolio is over in Ohio for my buy and holds for the most part. Mm-hmm. And they went after a good deal, they thought, but they didn't know the area. That was their first deal. They picked it up and they purchased it instead of, thinking they could wholesale it or whatever, but they didn't get enough traction. They hung on to it for over 4 months, and the holding costs and so forth, they just started getting desperate. So we kept on going back and forth, and eventually I got them down to, they took such a big loss on it. But I knew I was one of the few investors in this area that knew truly like what the hell they were doing. So, taking advantage of that opportunity, but just knowing your market is so crucial because you could get caught up in a situation. Luckily, you guys are assigning these deals for the most part, so you always have that backup plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're not taking possession on anything. We take more shots on wholesale now than I ever did in the past because we've got years of, learning and mistakes and, things like that behind us.
Well, before you do that, I know that you guys have the right due diligence in place now by really reaching out probably to certain people in that market, make sure that you can get those numbers realistically, right?
Exactly. We're getting, if we're taking something down, we're getting realtors involved.
Yeah.
We're getting contractors involved. It's a process just like you would go through similarly in your own market if you were fixing and flipping a deal.
Love it. So for anybody just getting started out there for wholesaling, any recommendations you would give or like a step-by-step of what I know it's kind of like a broad question because there's so many different moving pieces to the puzzle, but is there a step-by-step that you would recommend, like 3 things maybe that has changed your life when it comes down to getting your business really systemized to be producing what it is today?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a hardhead, so I should have got a really good mentor earlier on. I held off and was like, you know what? I'm going to learn this stuff on YouTube. I got it, cocky.
Same thing, man.
Just, and business will punch you in the mouth, right? So you've got to, find somebody that's already done it. Find a really, really good mentor, somebody you respect in the field that you resonate with. And I don't care what they're charging you. Just pay them the money and get around people that are already doing the business that will spend time with you. Go to face-to-face seminars, one-on-one mentorship for you specifically. Stop trying to cut corners and do this business for free. If you got to get credit cards for that in the beginning, do it, but you better make dang sure that you're going to see this business through and be successful at it. Because I will tell you, another thing for young, for beginning wholesalers is you see a lot of the flash on social media, people pushing checks and Lambos and all that. What you don't see is all of the years of pain and failure that you have to go through, especially starting a business. So I don't care if that's wholesaling, any business you get into is going to be freaking hard, right? That's like a 99% failure rate. So if you better know that you're going to be that 1% and see it through. That's my recommendations. Get a mentor. Don't underestimate the amount of sacrifice that you're going to have to make, and be knowledgeable about your credit. I don't care if you're building the real estate business, if you're building any empire, you're going to need access to liquidity. So
true.
If you can focus on those 3 things, I think that's going to give you a strong foundation to be successful.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes down to anything good in life that's worth fighting for, it's not going to come easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it, right? So you definitely want to I'm just like you. I would have invested in myself if I would have even known about it, right? I didn't even know. I was that dumb. I didn't know there was mentors out there that could actually teach me this stuff. So I was just YouTubing it. I was reading as many books as I could. And then I was listening to podcasts like this and like Bigger Pockets. And then I would get their recommendations on books to read. So,
and that's great. That right there, you have to do that. Especially, I think, in the beginning, that's all you should be doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you need to be just plugging into whoever you resonate. Jump on, blitz through every single one of Brandon's podcasts, go back through here, start on podcast 1, and you need to go all the way through every single one. And then if you got somebody else that you find really valuable, go through all of their material until you get through the entire discography of, real estate. And then you might want to go back and listen to it again.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. It's so important though, just like what you mentioned, get a mentor, yes, but also it's a mandatory. It's because a mentor is not going to be that magic pill. It's not going to be that magic pill for you. It's not going to be that instant gratification that you're looking for just because you're swiping the credit card or you're writing out a check to this person. You're going to want to put in all the work, the education, the books, the podcast, whatever, to be able to do as much of the education you can on your own. And then the mentor is there to be able to help put the missing pieces together before you actually screw up or make the same mistakes that they have. So that's what helps with the mentor. And there's obviously a lot of other benefits to it, but it's not.
Dude, I'm still invested in mentors to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, even you on the credit side. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Let's jump on. You've got specialized knowledge in the credit field that I don't have, and so that's extremely valuable to me. Pay for access to information that you don't have to shortcut your learning curve so you can get to where you want to get and live the life of your dreams faster. Pay for speed. Are you going to stand at Disney line in a 3-hour line, or are you just going to buy the fast pass?
Yeah. That's so good. I love it.
So,
Nick, brother, I appreciate you so much. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're somebody that I definitely look up to when it comes down to all the avenues. Like, you're a hustler by all means, and the grit behind it. You're very persistent. You're not going to give up. I love that about you. And you're constantly putting all that you can into all areas of life to make sure that you're succeeding and you're happy and you're flourishing. And that's not just attractive on social media. That's attractive, to everybody. And it's something that, you lead by example. So I really do appreciate that. I'm super blessed to have you on here for all the listeners, given an hour of your time. Nothing but gold nuggets. What can the listeners do to be able to give back to you or myself?
I mean, I'm on Instagram. You follow me at Nick Perry REI. So at Nick Perry REI. You can follow me on there. Yeah, if you guys need anything, just let me know. So happy to help.
Love it. Love it, brother. Appreciate you so much. Guys, if you want to get a hold of me, you can always do so at BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Otherwise, Instagram, it's Brandon Elliott Investments, Facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. If you guys have any questions regarding credit, you can always check out creditcounselelite.com or reach out to me, DM me, message me. And if you guys need education, if you need help getting your credit fixed or building up your credit lines or even leveraging it, reach out. Would love to help you, give you some guidance and counsel you through that. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get the newest notification every single Monday. And leave a review. Let me know what you guys think about it. As always, reach out to this man, Nick. He is a boss in many different areas. But if you guys are interested in learning more about his wholesaling and how he could potentially help guide you in the right direction to be able to put those missing pieces together, then reach out to him, make that connection. But Nick, appreciate you so much, brother. Nothing but love.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, stay blessed. Until next time.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.